She said he was her therapist friend. Until I found out he wasn't licensed in anything, except lying. I booked a session with him myself. He didn't expect me to show up with her mother. I'm 42 years old. I live in a small house just outside Dayton, Ohio. I work in HVAC. Been doing that since I was in my 20s. I've got a daughter, 13 now, from my first marriage. Her mom and I split years ago, and we've been civil ever since. Co-parenting's not perfect, but we make it work. 5 years ago, I met Rachel. She was 33 when we met, worked in social services, helping at-risk teens. She was sharp, funny, and had this dry way of talking that made you feel like she didn't suffer fools. I liked that about her. She didn't take crap from anyone, and I thought she'd never take it from me either. Our relationship moved fast, but not in a reckless way. We dated a year before she moved in. She was great with my daughter. Took her to movies, taught her how to cook pasta from scratch, all that. We talked about getting married, but neither of us was rushing it. We were steady. Or at least I thought we were. It started about 2 years ago. Rachel began seeing someone she called her therapist friend. That's how she always phrased it. Not my therapist. Not my counselor. My therapist friend. Like he was doing her a favor, or like it was informal. I asked early on, "Is he a therapist or just a friend who gives good advice?" She said, "He's more than that. He's just not traditional. He helps me unpack stuff." All right, I thought. Everyone heals in their own way. But I kept my ears open. I never got to meet this guy. His name was Brent. She met with him once or twice a week, sometimes in person, sometimes over the phone. She'd come back quiet. Not sad. Just off. Like she was looking through me. Then she'd slowly return to normal, and we wouldn't talk about it. One night, I heard her crying in the bathroom. Not just a few tears, like gut-deep crying. I knocked on the door, asked if she was okay, and she snapped, "I'm fine." But I stayed close. And I heard her whispering into the phone, "I just don't feel safe unless I'm talking to you. The way you held me last time." I froze. Held her? When she came out, I didn't bring it up right away. I watched her. 4 days. Then weeks. She guarded her phone like it was gold. She'd go for walks alone, come back glassy-eyed. When I asked who she talked to, it was always Brent. I started digging. I didn't want to jump to conclusions, so I told myself I was just protecting myself. I looked up every licensed therapist named Brent in the state of Ohio. No Brent Cole anywhere near Dayton. No license. No records. Nothing. But I found something else, his website. It was called Spirit Stream Healing. It had pictures of waterfalls, vague testimonials, and big words like soul alignment, emotional freedom, and trauma clarity. No mention of credentials. No background. Just a form to book a session and a PayPal link. I didn't say anything to Rachel right away. I wanted proof. Solid proof. So I called the number. Used a fake name. Booked a session. Said I was dealing with past relationship trauma. He texted back with an address, a rundown office building on the edge of town. Told me to bring $100 cash. I had my plan. But I wasn't going alone. I reached out to Rachel's mom. Now, Rachel always said her mother was emotionally abusive. Manipulative. Said she used religion and guilt like weapons. I'd seen the tension between them, no doubt about that. But I also saw a woman who kept trying to call her daughter on birthdays and holidays and never got a response. A woman who once dropped off flowers and waited outside just to see if Rachel would open the door. She didn't. When I told her what was happening, she showed up fast. I didn't even finish my sentence before she said, "He's the reason she stopped talking to me, isn't he?" I nodded. "I think so." "Then I'm coming with you." We drove to that building on a Wednesday morning. Office C4. The hallway smelled like bleach and stale coffee. When we knocked, a tall guy with thinning hair and a denim shirt opened the door. He had this fake calmness on his face, like a yoga instructor trying to sell you a timeshare. Hi. You must be. He trailed off, looking between me and her mom. Yeah, I said. We're both here for the session. He blinked. I only do one-on-one. Not today. We stepped in. His office was small. 2 chairs, 1 beanbag, a bunch of cheap candles, and a water fountain that sounded like someone peeing. I sat. Her mom stayed standing. He tried to start the session with some breathing technique. I cut him off. Are you licensed? He hesitated. I practice holistic. I didn't ask that. Are you licensed to provide therapy in the state of Ohio? No, but so what are you doing with my girlfriend? He went quiet. Her mom stepped forward. Why did she cut off her whole family after she met you? She chose to walk away from pain. You coached her to walk away, she said. You made her think we were the problem. You filled her head with lies, and you called that healing. He looked rattled now. Tried to say something about boundaries and trauma release. I stood up. If I find out you've touched her, I swear I never touched her. He shouted too fast. We didn't fight. We didn't yell anymore. We just left. I filed a report with the state. Turns out other people had complained too, but nothing stuck. No license meant no rules to break. But I wasn't done yet. After we left that joke of an office, Rachel's mom was shaking. She kept muttering to herself in the car like she was trying to process it all. He rewired her brain, she said at one point. I didn't disagree. But I knew we couldn't stop there. I wanted Rachel to know the truth, but I also knew if we came at her too hard, she'd shut down. This guy had clearly spent years getting into her head, and anything we said now would just sound like more of the attacks he probably warned her about. So I waited. A week went by. Then 2. She barely spoke to me. Slept in the guest room. Left early. Came home late. I thought maybe she was still seeing him, until I drove by the office one day and saw it empty. Gone. No sign on the door. No lights. Nothing. I don't know what exactly made her do it, but one night she walked into the living room with a brown box in her hands. Inside was a bunch of handwritten notes, notebooks, and printed out emails. All from Brent. All in his chicken scratch handwriting. He told me to burn these, she said, but I couldn't. She dropped the box on the coffee table and just stood there. I didn't say anything. I just looked through them. One of the first pages started with, "Your family is a cage. Let me be the key." Another said, "Intimacy is how we reclaim what our fathers broke." There were dozens of them. Notes from sessions, lines he told her to repeat, mantras that were more like mental locks. He kept saying things like, "Don't tell anyone what we talk about," and "Truth is poison when you aren't ready." This wasn't therapy. This was mind control. Rachel sat down on the couch like she was deflating. "He made me think I was broken unless I was with him," she said. "He said you would never understand me because you didn't feel as deeply as I did." Then she said something that made my stomach turn. "I slept with him once." She looked down when she said it. Like she was bracing for me to yell. I didn't. I just stared. I didn't plan to. I didn't even want to. He said it was part of the healing process. That touch was sacred and would let the trauma leave my body. My hands were clenched, but I kept my mouth shut. I wasn't going to lose it. Not now. Then she said, "I thought I loved him. I thought you were holding me back. But I don't even know if I was ever in control." We didn't talk much after that. She stayed in the house, but it was like a hotel room to her now. She'd sleep, shower, leave. No contact. Then, one night, her mom called me in tears. "Rachel's missing." I checked the house. Her room was empty. Her phone was gone, but her wallet was still there. No texts, no goodbye. She was gone for 2 days. Then on the third morning, she walked through the door with a black eye and blood on her sleeve. I found him. She wouldn't say where. Wouldn't say what happened. Just handed me a flash drive and said, "You need to see what he's doing to other women." On that drive were audio files. Dozens. Of him talking to women. Sometimes coaxing them. Sometimes yelling. Sometimes worse. I knew what I had to do. That flash drive was worse than I could have imagined. I stayed up all night listening through it. Each audio file was labeled with a woman's first name and a date. Some were only a few minutes long, others stretched over an hour. I recognized Rachel's voice on at least 10 of them. But the rest? All strangers. Some of them cried while Brent talked. Some laughed nervously. Some sounded completely zoned out, like they were repeating what he told them. Every recording had the same pattern. He'd start with soft, reassuring talk, then slowly twist the conversation into something darker, something personal. Then intimate. Then manipulative. One recording started with, "Remember, don't let your boyfriend touch you tonight. You're still detoxing from him." Another, "Your pain is stored in your hips. That's why I need to help you release it." It was sick. It was calculated. And it wasn't just Rachel. The next morning, I called Rachel's mom, played her a short clip. She nearly dropped the phone. "We have to go to the police," she said. I agreed, but I knew how this stuff worked. A flash drive and some anonymous voices wouldn't be enough. So I made a plan. I set up an email account and wrote a message with a subject line I knew would get attention. He said he was a therapist. He lied. Were you one of his clients? I sent it to every woman whose name I heard on those recordings. Took me hours, digging through social media and old mutuals from Rachel's Facebook. I only found 6 matches, but that was enough. 2 responded within a day. 1 blocked me right away. The last 3 didn't answer. The first woman, Carla, was furious. She said she tried to report him a year ago, but was told that since he wasn't licensed, they couldn't act unless someone got hurt. "What does that even mean?" she said. "I am hurt." The second woman, Marissa, was quieter. Scared. She said he told her he was a trauma counselor and made her stop taking her meds. Said he guided her through a breakdown. Then he disappeared. She tried to find him again, not to turn him in, but because she thought he was the only person who understood her. That broke me. So I contacted a local journalist. A guy named Matt who did small-town investigations, dirty landlords, scammers, frauds. I sent him a few clips. Told him everything. He got back to me in under 3 hours. Said it was the most disturbing thing he'd heard in his 10 years on the job. We met at a diner. I gave him the flash drive, a list of names, everything I knew. He started making calls. By the end of the week, he tracked down 4 more women who'd seen Brent in the last 2 years. And every single one had a similar story: emotional manipulation, fake therapy, and in 2 cases, unwanted sexual contact disguised as healing. Rachel didn't speak during any of this. Not to me, not to her mom, not even to the journalist. She just stayed in the house, quiet, going through those notebooks he'd told her to keep. It was like she was trying to rebuild her brain from scratch. Then one night, I came home and she was gone again. Except this time, she left a note. "Don't worry. I'm not going to him. I'm going to fix what I can." I didn't know what that meant at first. But 2 days later, she showed up in a Zoom interview, her face front and center on the local news. She told her story. Named him. Played clips. Cried through half of it. The station blurred her face but kept her voice raw and real. And suddenly the phones at the police department lit up. Women started calling. People he worked with years ago. One woman from another state said she dated him back in 2010. He pulled the same healing touch routine back then. The story grew faster than we expected. A state rep got involved. Someone started a petition to create laws about unlicensed therapists pretending to offer real care. And Brent? He went missing. Gone. His phone disconnected. His email bounced back. His YouTube channel came back up briefly, just a black screen with one sentence. You can't stop light from finding darkness. It was like a threat. Or a warning. Or maybe just the last words of a man who knew the walls were closing in. But Rachel wasn't done. She had one more move planned. Rachel came home the same night the news interview aired. Her face was red, eyes raw, but she looked clear. Different than before. She walked in holding her old journals, the ones she used during her time with Brent, and dropped them in the fireplace without saying a word. She lit them up and watched them burn. Didn't even blink. Then she said, I know where he is. I stared at her. You found him? She nodded. He's in Chillicothe. A woman he used to work with texted me. Said he's hiding out at some old rehab place that closed down during COVID. His cousin owns the building. He's sleeping in one of the old staff rooms. I paused. What are you planning? She looked at me, calm as ever. He destroyed me. He messed with my head. I watched women fall apart because of him. You helped expose him. Now I'm going to finish this. I should have stopped her. But I didn't. Instead, I offered to drive. The building was on the edge of town, almost swallowed by trees and weeds. A long driveway led up to what used to be a clean, modern facility. Now it looked haunted. Windows busted, door half off the hinges. We parked down the road and walked up in silence. Rachel carried a recorder in one hand and a folder in the other, copies of statements from the women who'd come forward. When we got close to the door, she whispered, Let me do the talking. We walked in. The place smelled like mold and something worse. Down the hallway, we saw a light on through a cracked office door. Inside was Brent, sitting cross-legged on the floor. He had a beard now, longer hair, no shoes. He looked up and froze when he saw her. Rachel. She didn't flinch. We're not here to heal. He stood up slowly, like he thought maybe he could charm his way out again. I know you're angry, but you manipulated me. She cut in. You told me my pain was sacred. That my trauma was a gift. You said sex would free me. He looked at me next. You think this is justice? Showing up like this? No, I said. This is just the start. Rachel hit record on her device and pulled out the folder. These are the names of 9 women. They all say you touched them during sessions. Some say you convinced them to leave their families. One says you made her stop taking her antidepressants. His face fell. No more spiritual talk. No more light and healing. Just silence. Rachel stepped forward and dropped the folder at his feet. You're going to turn yourself in, she said. You're going to confess. Or I swear to God, I will drag you through the courts and the press until you're nothing but a ghost people warn their daughters about. He tried to step forward. She pulled out her phone, started playing one of the audio clips. A woman sobbing. Him telling her she needed his body to feel real again. He stopped cold. And then he ran. Out the back door, into the woods. We chased him. Stupid maybe, but it felt right. We caught him at the edge of a creek, his foot stuck in the mud. He slipped, hit his head on a rock, and screamed. I grabbed his arm. Pulled him out. Tossed him back onto the grass like trash. Rachel stood over him, panting. This is the only mercy you get, she said. The cops came 2 hours later. She gave them everything. Audio. Statements. The flash drive. Brent was arrested for fraud, practicing without a license, and multiple charges of sexual misconduct. More women came forward after the news got out. At his arraignment, he looked right at Rachel, and she didn't blink. The trial is set for later this year. Rachel plans to testify. As for us, we didn't stay together. Too much had broken between us. The lies. The silence. My part in not speaking up sooner. I still carry that weight. I let things slide. I called it respecting her healing. When I should have called it what it was, fear of the truth. But we're on good terms. She's rebuilding her life. Going back to school. Helping other women who went through the same kind of manipulation. And me? I listen more now. I speak up faster. I don't assume love is enough to fix someone. And I don't trust any therapist who won't show you their damn license. He wanted to be worshipped. He wanted control. Now all he's got is a jail cell and a name tied forever to shame. And that's the ending he earned.